I want us to talk about the biggest news story of the week, and that involves Glenn Greenwald's partner, David Miranda. Now, David Miranda was detained for 9 hours at Heathrow Airport, and there are some huge issues with that, especially when it involves freedom of the press and civil liberties. And you guys know what this segment's all about. It's our No Filter. Now, if you look into the details of the story of David Miranda, there's no question that his detention was unlawful. The reason why it's unlawful is because they cited something known as the Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act that would allow officials to detain someone that they suspect of terrorism. However, David Miranda is not a terrorist, and officials are fully aware that he's not a terrorist, but he happens to be journalist Glenn Greenwald's partner. Now, everyone knows at this point that Glenn Greenwald worked with Edward Snowden to release the NSA leaks, and of course, the U.S. government and its allies are not too happy about that. Let's keep it real. David Miranda was detained at Heathrow Airport, and those are our allies right there. They are doing similar violations of privacy that the United States is doing, and they're not too happy with some of the information that Glenn Greenwald is leaking. Now, being detained for 9 hours is ridiculous, especially when you're obviously not a terrorist, and 9 hours is the maximum amount of time that these officials can detain someone. While they detained him, they also confiscated his mobile phone, his laptop, memory sticks, smartwatch, DVDs. I should also note that he was en route from Berlin to Brazil. He had to stop at Heathrow, and he had been talking to Laura Poitras about the Edward Snowden story. So officials knew that he had more information regarding that story. And of course, isn't it convenient? Why don't we make sure we confiscate all of his stuff? That way he doesn't have any more information to report. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because my real beef here has to do with Obama apologists and Democrats and so-called progressives who want to go ahead and defend some of the civil liberties violations that the Obama administration does. So recently I tweeted about this over the weekend when the story broke. I said, what a disgusting violation of freedom of the press. Glenn Greenwald's courage is incredible. Keep fighting. Well, an Obama apologist responded to that. Her name is Linda, and she said, guess who first involved the partner into this mess? It would be prudent to read the story, including omissions The Guardian made. Wait a minute. First of all, Glenn Greenwald did involve his partner in this story, but is that illegal? Did Glenn Greenwald do something illegal? Does that allow officials to detain someone under a terrorism law that makes absolutely no sense? I mean, you are basically saying that anyone who stirs the pot, who questions authority and does his or her job can be lawfully detained. That is insane, and that is ridiculous. That is the type of action that you would be against if a Republican president was behind it, or if conservative officials were behind it. But since there are Democrats behind it, since the Obama administration is guilty of these NSA leaks, you think it's totally fine. And that is destructive to our political system, because we are supposed to encourage people to be politically active. But how are they going to be politically active, and how are journalists going to do their jobs by questioning authority when they know that this type of intimidation is taking place? So I really want all the people making excuses for the Obama administration and making excuses for the officials at Heathrow Airport to think about the ramifications of these actions and what it does to our political system and the freedom of the press.